Before I even started to shoot this series of my first 10 YouTube videos, I spent 2 or 3 weeks thinking about and scripting what I wanted to say in each episode. But now that I have started filming, this is my third video, I've chucked that script away and started again. After all, the idea behind these 10 videos was to share my thoughts and feelings on what it's actually like to start out on this journey. And I hope that will help you if you're thinking about doing this too. So it just seems a little bit daft to simply shoot a script that I'd prepared before starting out. Instead, I want to talk about the things I've learned so far, both good and bad. I want to talk about the importance of doing this part, shooting your first few videos in the sure knowledge no one will ever watch them. In other words, what I have learnt so far. But before that, if you're starting out on a YouTube career, as I like to call it, I'm sure you watch lots of other videos in order to answer your questions. Now, I don't know what your questions are. It may be that you want to find out how much money you can make. Or perhaps you want to know what kind of creative freedoms you get from talking to a camera like this. Or maybe, like me, you want to narrow down your area of speciality and actually find your niche. I do know, and I think everyone does really, that you probably won't make a fortune from YouTube. So if you're in it for the money, good luck. I don't really know what level of creativity you get from this, but I do know that being creative is important to me. And as I head towards the retirement age, I like the idea of setting up a camera and a few lights and maybe create a bit of a backdrop, and well, that's it. So after uploading yesterday's video, I took a look at some other content creators, and I found one that, quite honestly, I thought, which made a nice change, pointed out how much she makes from YouTube, having started her channel 4 years ago.
And in the rest of 21, I earned £400. Yes! So in 2022, I earned £2,800. Then in 2023, I earned £6,000.
Not a huge amount of money, but as Liz says, she gets a lot of pleasure from shooting her videos, talking about a subject close to her heart, and realising that over 1 million people have enjoyed watching her and hearing what she has to say. In short, she enjoys the process itself, and I think that is the key to success in this game. But Liz has her watercolour paintings to talk about. What have I got? I'm still in search of a niche. Any niche will do, but what can I talk about that others can't? At the moment, I can't think of anything. And then I found a video by Sunny Lenarduzzi, which she cleverly called The Blueprint to Make $3 signs on YouTube from day one. Naturally, I took a look and I was pleased to discover this bit.
So you have your first couple of videos. I usually recommend like your first 8 videos are really test videos, because ultimately we have to put content out in order to know what works and what doesn't. But in those first test videos, we need to make sure that we know who we're trying to reach and making relevant content for them, so this little engine can start to work from the beginning.
There, she says it. Don't worry too much about your first 8 videos, just do it. But even she says that before you shoot them, you should know your niche. I think I need to make a video called How to Find Your Niche, because I honestly don't know where these first 10 videos will take me. All I know for sure is that I committed to them and feel I have to do them. 10 videos, doesn't matter how good or bad they are, doesn't really matter what I say in them. I've just got to keep my promise to finish them. So back to my earlier point, the importance of doing these first 10 videos. Aside from sticking to my self-inflicted target, what else do you get from this exercise? Well, the answer so far on video 3 is quite a lot. Some of it sort of takes you by surprise. Your mind is a weird old thing, and please don't take that personally, I speak generally. On the one hand, you and I both know that nobody will watch these videos. On the other hand, if I'm honest, you find yourself a little bit disappointed that no one will watch these videos. I took a look at the film I uploaded yesterday and sort of found myself hoping that perhaps maybe a few hundred people or maybe more will have viewed it. But in reality, of course, you know that you're talking to a camera in an empty room. You may just as well forget the camera altogether and talk to your bookcase or something. No one will watch this. A part that is from one person, you. I don't mean you, I mean me, as in, you watch your own video. And that is really helpful because you can learn so much simply from watching yourself on a screen. I should make a disclosure here. I mean, we're so far into this video that if anyone actually did start watching this, they'd have clicked away by now. But anyway, here's my disclosure. I doubt you'll believe this, but I did train as an actor. And after drama school, I worked predominantly in theatre and live entertainment. I did do some TV and film, but not so much. And anyway, when you watch yourself back on TV, you're very critical of yourself. But then there's a huge difference between acting a character and doing this, talking directly to a camera in a weird one-to-one or one-to-probably-no-one situation. So these early videos, and especially if you've never done anything like this before, will give you the opportunity of watching your own presentation critically and therefore improving it before you hit the big time by getting your first subscriber or something. For example, I don't like the way I tend to use my hands. I don't like the way I audibly breathe in through my nose all the time. I don't like the fact that I look as old as I do, but I can't do much to change that until I hit the jackpot in content creation and can afford a Hollywood facelift. But the other things I can change. You can be as critical as you want. If you think you're too animated or not animated enough, you can actively work on that as you shoot your first series of films. You just have to convince yourself of two things. One, nobody is watching or are likely to watch your first 10 films other than you. And two, that it's worth it in the end. Make mistakes now, don't let them worry you. Just correct the things you don't like, and by the time you're hitting those millions of views, you'll be perfect. There are some things we all have in common. For example, nobody likes watching themselves back on screen. I mean, that's not completely true. Some people actually love it. You see them in restaurants pouting at their phone, but most of us hate it. And most of us also hate the sound of our own voices. Now, why is that? It's because to us, it's not our voice. It's not the voice that we've heard in our head all our life. And that's because the sound resonates around our skull. So in everyday life, we don't hear our voice in the same way we hear everything else. Because our voice doesn't go, that way. It kind of, But watching our videos back, we can at least get used to it. Your voice will never sound like it does to you, but by reviewing your first few videos, you'll get used to hearing it as others hear it. And I have another disclosure here. Over the last 15 years or so, I've worked in video production. Again, I just know you're not going to believe me, but, well, you're not really there, so who cares? And in that capacity, as cameraman and editor, I've worked with a fair few TV journalists in media training. Now, I have a friend who was a very successful TV journalist, and he said that even he, at first, didn't like his voice. But he was on TV every day, and it didn't take him very long to simply get used to what he really does sound like. Now, when I first worked with TV journalists, they reminded me in many ways of how actors work, but with one big exception. And that same friend reminded me of the first time we worked together. I filmed his piece to camera, and coming from the world of drama, I asked him if he wanted to do another take. He completely dismissed the idea with a "that'll do" attitude. As an actor, I can't think why anyone wouldn't want to improve on their delivery. You can always make it just a teeny bit better. And as a cameraman, I'd have liked to have improved the lighting, maybe change a few things in the background, spend more time setting up. But journalists, they don't work like that. They have deadlines to meet. And very often they're going out live. They don't even notice what's behind them or where the light is coming from. They don't seem to hear the off-putting sounds off camera. For them, it's the content that's important. Get it done, get it finished, and move on. So I think I have to learn to be more like a journalist than an actor. Content is key. A second take, maybe, but you've got to get used to presenting quickly. I must admit to a cheat here. I'm using an auto cue, which I know is something that most people don't have. Yesterday, I was quite surprised at how quickly it took to actually record my video. I spend loads more time on writing and editing. I think everyone does. So there are my learnings on video 3. I have to find that niche. That's an absolute priority. I can't run a channel for several years based on the subject of creating your first 10 videos. And one has to learn to actually like seeing what you produce, despite what you think you look like. Too old in my case, and I come to look at it, slightly balding. You also have to come to terms with the way you sound. It isn't bad, it's just not what you thought it was. And finally, you have to find your system for producing content and just get it out there. You need it to be as good as you can make it. But if you tinker around too much or think about it for too long, you'll just never complete it. Now, I want to talk about backgrounds, setting, lighting, clothing and all that, but that's for another video. I've still got 7 more to make in this series. Right, and I need to find a good way to end these videos. There may come a day when someone watches right to the very end. I'm using an auto cue, which I know is something that most people don't have. Yesterday I was quite surprised at how quickly it took to actually record my video. I spend loads of time